When you find a real estate platform that aligns everyone in the entire company financially by making us real estate agents owners, so when the average agent wins, everyone wins, that's the secret to success. And when you surround yourself with like-minded entrepreneurial people who absolutely love what they do, they love serving people, they love God and life, and you put yourself in an environment of high energy, high producing, positive people every day, you can't help but succeed in business and life. We are changing the real estate industry and changing real estate agents' lives. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever Podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Financial Freedom Forever Podcast. Today, I'm super excited to be talking to my friend Tim Hollinder from Louisville, Kentucky. How you doing today, Tim?
I'm great, Andre. How are you doing, buddy?
Doing fantastic. I'm really excited to get to know you better today and kind of share your story with our listeners. We named it Life After Owning a Real Estate Brokerage because we know you had your own independent, RE/MAX franchise, and you had a fantastic career and some bumps in the road with owning your own brokerage and in life as they come across. And I'm excited to kind of share your story about what you've been able to do and how you've grown your business in these markets.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the opportunity to be on your podcast and have great respect for you. So I'm just super excited to be here as well and look forward to hopefully pouring into your audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tim. Let's go ahead and just get started by kind of sharing your real estate journey and your story.
Okay. Well, it started back right after 9/11. I had an IT company that I lost, and real estate was kind of a second career for me. So I got licensed, and real estate was always a passion for me because my dad was an architect, and I kind of grew up on job sites. So I loved the creative process of home building and commercial office building and all that. So I always had a passion for it. But so I got licensed around 2002. So I've been in the business 21 years, cut my teeth at an ERA franchise. And a friend said, hey, come over here and work with me. It's a great company. I said, okay. I didn't check anybody else, didn't know any better at the time, and ended up being there about 7 years. And, I looked in the rearview mirror one day and said, holy cow, my broker's getting like $70,000, $80,000 a year off of me. That's probably way too much based on some other things I'm seeing. So I sought out, actually got recruited by a RE/MAX broker. So I went to RE/MAX from there, spent a year there. We had some philosophical differences. So I only stayed there a year, and I liked the RE/MAX model. So I bought my own franchise and ultimately grew it to the third largest RE/MAX in the Louisville, Kentucky market. And there were 13 RE/MAX offices in Louisville at the time. So I was proud of that. And, what was really never leaving, I thought they had the best model. And, as many people do, I was loyal to myself. I was the broker owner, and I didn't do a ton of recruiting, but still grew a nice brokerage just because of, the reputation that we made for ourselves in the market. So,
right.
And then life happened. And if there's anything I get across today, I want our viewers to understand that, stop saying that'll never happen to me. And I think all of us are guilty of that. I certainly felt that way. I know you and I share a Christian belief, and I felt I was right with my maker, and I knew where I was going to end up. But at 49 years old, I found myself laying in a hospital bed facing a quadruple bypass heart surgery 2 days later because they wouldn't let me leave for 2 days. So I spent the next day getting my house in order because I thought I was going to die. And wow. A lot of people are probably saying, well, heart surgery, that's no big deal. They do thousands of those a year right now. But my situation is I had no heart disease in my family. I had no high cholesterol. I had no high blood pressure. I never was a smoker. I worked out 5 days a week at the YMCA. I was the epitome of health and fitness, and there was no reason I should have been in that situation. So I thought the good Lord was calling me home and had another plan for me. And, thankfully, I made it through that, obviously, but I can remember thinking I haven't accomplished what I had set out to accomplish in this world. And I knew I couldn't even identify what that was at that time. I just knew there was something missing, something more I wanted to do. I knew it had something to do with giving back. I had no idea how I was going to do that. But that obviously was a life-changing moment. You know, I was in the middle of owning my RE/MAX franchise. Thank God I had a team, because that passive income or that residual income off of the team kept me financially afloat, you know, because most agents, if they left the business for 7 weeks, which is how long I was out of it for my recovery, they're out of business in
Right.
7 weeks. I handed my cell phone to my wife. I said, don't call me unless somebody's dying or bleeding. And she never called. So she kind of ran the office, and I stayed at home and recovered for 3 weeks. And then I went to the beach for 3 weeks and recovered in the sunshine, and just kind of got myself back together, and came back to work in week 8, and, you know, was right back in the saddle again. So, and I say that because, you know, bad things happen to good people, and, you know, it might be health of yourself. It might be health of a loved one. It might be, you know, a spouse, a child. You just never know. It might be a parent that you all of a sudden have to take care of. I've got a good friend that has that situation, and she's having to move from Alabama to Georgia to take care of her mother. Right. She might even be watching right now. But, you know, things happen. So when I found EXP, that was one of my curiosities. But before we go there, I'll finish the story. My cardiologist said, Tim, you were 80% blocked in all 4 arteries. And there's no physical reason why. You must just be too freaking stressed. You literally would have died in your recliner had you not have noticed the tightness in your chest.
Wow.
And I figured that out in the gym. You know, I never had a heart attack, thankfully, so I had no heart damage, but I was tight up high between my shoulders. I'm on the elliptical, and I thought I was stretching through it, because 5 minutes in, it would start. I'm like, gosh, that's a little tight feeling. And then 5 minutes later, it would be gone. I'm like, okay, well, I stretched out, you know, those shoulder muscles, chest muscles, everything ties together. And I didn't think anything of it. But, you know, so that went on. And that's what told me, hey, you better mention this to your doctor at your annual physical this year. So picking back up, you know, I'm glad, obviously, I figured that out, because I wouldn't be here today to tell about it. But so when she said, you must just be too stressed, I said, well, gosh, you know, I love my job. I love what I do. I love mentoring agents and pouring into them and teaching them. You know, my knowledge at the time was, you know, 10, 15 years. And so I said, well, there must be a lot of stress I'm not aware of. So make a very long story short, the following January, this happened on September 11th, actually. I share that with, you know, the 9/11 anniversary. That was the day of my heart surgery. Well, the following January, we were in church, and the sermon series was entitled Simplify. And I'm like, okay, God spoke to me once back in September. He's telling me again, simplify your life, Tim. And very long story short, decided almost that day to sell the brokerage. Not because it was stressful, but figured, you know, if I can sell it and get debt free as a result, that'll simplify life a lot, having not any, you know, permanent long-term obligations. And so that's what I did. I went to a RE/MAX broker in town, in my town in Louisville, that I thought needed my agent count and the volume of sales they were doing, and cut a deal with them. Signed a 3-year contract not to compete. And they asked me to stay on and run the company for them. I said, okay. Because obviously they knew my relationship was with the agents that I had. And, you know, if they'd have stepped in and became the broker, then they may have had some retention issues and so forth. So I said, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I wasn't stressed about that. I love that part of my job, like I said. So I stayed for 3 years. And at about month 34 of the 36 years, the purchaser of my company and myself and a couple of the leaders on the management team were evaluating, what do we do? Because their franchise agreement was coming up. The one they bought from me was coming up. So we were looking at every model out there. And in so doing, actually, we didn't even look at EXP specifically that way, but somebody called me that used to be an agent of mine and said, Tim, I want you to look at EXP Realty. I'm thinking of moving my license there, and I want to make sure I'm not making a huge mistake. Would you mind evaluating the model for me? And I said, yeah, I'll do that. I said, if you're really trying to recruit me, though, I'm not coming. I'm happy where I am. I love what I do. And I won't go into that story right now. But anyway, I looked at the model and was like, holy crap. And I'm a very detail-oriented person. So I studied the model inside out and backwards for about 60 days. And at the end of my 3-year no-compete, I took my sales team, the Hollinder team in Louisville, Kentucky, and we all moved to EXP. And they're with me to this day. And, we generate 160 to 180 transactions a year on a good year. It's not been quite that the last couple because of inventory problems. And certainly now we have an interest rate problem, among other things. But, life has been forever changed. I'll stop there and see if you have any questions, because I could just go for however long you plan on me being here.
Well, that's great. I really appreciate the backstory. I think there's probably a lot of, independent broker owners or team leaders that really can kind of connect with you. That's interesting how you didn't feel stressed, but there was still a lot of stress in your body to create that, right? And I think a lot of us probably are in that, same boat. But yeah, my biggest question, you said when you are evaluating the model for one of your agents, and then you said, holy crap, what were the top things that really made you say that?
Well, first, it looked too good to be true. And anytime there's such goodness in anything, you create this disbelief that there must be something wrong. And so I was looking behind every corner, trying to find the problem. And like I said, I did due diligence for 60 days. I probably talked to, 50 EXP agents about their experiences. And, as a company, I think we had 6,800 agents when I joined.
Okay.
So 50 was a big percentage of those. But at the end of the day, it had what I needed. And it kind of ties the whole heart story together, because I didn't want to be 80 years old still unlocking doors for buyers. Right. That was the bottom line. I had a little residual income coming off my team, but I wanted something more than that, because I don't know about you, Andre, but I've never been to a realtor retirement party. But I've been to far too many funerals.
Right.
Good friend of ours, Rick Jihad, just passed a couple of weeks ago. God rest his soul. And, I pray for Casey, his wife, and his family every day. And thank God he was at EXP, because his family will forever, and I'm talking generational wealth, will forever be okay. And we can get into some of that if you'd like to. But I just, I came to EXP because I didn't want to sell real estate for the rest of my life. And EXP had two major components that I was highly interested in, and that was residual income and the fact that we all own the company. They've got a phenomenal stock plan. So I came to EXP to build a stock portfolio of wealth through that, and to build a minuscule amount of residual income. I told my wife when I come to EXP, here's how we're going to value success. I said, 5 years from now, I want to be making $50,000 a year in residual income. And if we're doing that, then this would have been a successful move. That was my yardstick. And Andre, I did that in 15 months. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
And I did it without trying. I'm not a recruiter. I told you I never recruited agents to my RE/MAX office. It's never been in my DNA, if you will. But agents started calling me and said, Tim, why did you go to EXP? Are you crazy? What are you thinking? I'm like, well, I don't think so, but here, let me show it to you and you tell me. And so that's how my organization started to grow. And today I've got around 275 in my organization, and they are spread across about 22 states and 3 or 4 countries. And it doesn't appear like there's no stopping it. I mean, it's life-changing. I went to my sales team 18 months in and said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to sell real estate anymore for the 4th quarter of 2019. Remember, I came in April 2018. So October 2019, I said, I'm going to take the 4th quarter off. I'm not going to sell any real estate. I'm going to refer all that to you all. Of course, they were tickled to death with that.
Right.
And I'm going to actually proactively go out and attract agents to see how I do. And Andre, I never went back. The only sales I do to this day are referrals and past clients and family or friends. My team handles everything else.
Well, that's fantastic. Isn't that kind of the dream of most independent broker owners, is to build a team, build a business, so you can really focus on the things that you love, maybe sell a house here or there to your brother, to your family member, but to support your team, but make enough income for yourself so you can do the things that you love doing, and help your organization at the same time. Now, what do you see the big difference is of you owning your, you had a team with your independent with Remax, and having your team within EXP? What are the biggest differences there that had allowed you to be able to step off that transactional treadmill of selling every day?
Well, I guess first of all, on the sales side, I've always been big on systems and processes and training and amazing technology tools. And I always provided all that for my team. It was difficult and actually impossible to do that for every agent in the brokerage, which is one of the broker's pain points that we can talk about if you'd like. But, I was comfortable that my team could handle everything we were doing because they already did it when I was gone for 7 weeks. I had experienced that. And I knew that I could step away and not be in the business anymore, but just oversee it. So that's what I did. And after that fourth quarter, Q1 of 2020, if you remember, is when COVID came into the world. And my wife and I self-quarantined at our lake house for 7 weeks, scared to death of COVID because of my heart issues in the past. And so we were pretty diligent about that. We just put our head down and got to attracting. And I think I attracted 19 agents that year. And I guess the biggest difference between, a traditional sales team and, an expansion team, or, an organization at EXP, if you will, is, teams can be revolving doors. Team leaders grow up, they fly their wings, they leave the nest, and they go do it on their own. Now I've been blessed. My team's not done that for the most part. I mean, my average team member has been with me for 7 years, which I'm thrilled of. But that's because I run my team a little differently than most teams do too. That's a whole separate podcast. But as a builder at EXP, in my EXP organization, I'm able to pour into a much larger team. And just 2 minutes on that, myself and 4 other EXP leaders, we're not necessarily even in each other's organization. It's just we partnered together and created what we call the EXP Freedom Team. And in that organization, we have 3,000 agents at EXP. And we pour into them in addition to the 80 hours of training that EXP offers every agent every week.
Right.
We teach them how to attract if that's something they're interested in. We have a mastermind every Tuesday. We have a leadership call every Friday and so forth. So 3, 4, 5 times a week, we're getting together as a group. Not everybody plugs into that, but those that do get a lot out of that. So we're just constantly helping agents sell more real estate, teaching them how to work through difficult markets, because I went through 07, 08, 09 as you did. And it's about putting your head down, doubling down, and staying top of mind with your entire database primarily. In addition to, I also double down on all my marketing, because I spend twice what I do in a bad market than I do in a good market, because I'm offsetting all the agents that aren't marketing, and I'm very relevant when we come out and the pendulum ultimately swings the other way. So in fact, I made $1 million a year at Remax personally by doing just that, and grew every year during the 07, 08, 09 recession. And you got to do different things. In that case, it was short sales and bank foreclosures. I did a lot of REOs for a major regional bank. So did that answer your question? Yeah,
that's great. You mentioned pain points. What were some of your pain points that you had as an independent broker, owner of your franchise, compared to running your team at EXP?
Well, as a broker owner, it was really lonely. I had nobody to turn to for advice and counsel other than, I could pay a coach. Yeah, I coached with several people, spent a ton of money doing that, but the Remax brokers in my market didn't really want to talk strategy because, I was their competition and I was growing faster than they were on a percentage increase every year basis. So, it's like training in the office. The training was done by the smartest agent in the physical local office. So we got no national or global knowledge, and we certainly didn't get all the training that person could have given us because that trainer knew they were training their competition. So, one pain point was just, it was lonely. Had to figure everything out by yourself. At EXP, that's not the case. We have 89,000 some agents today, and we're all pouring into each other because we all own the company together. And, I know you're the same like me. I would help any agent in EXP anywhere, whether they're in my organization or not, because if I can help them win, the company wins. And when the companies win, and all the agent owners win by default. So That's kind of our collaboration culture at EXP. And I never experienced that anywhere that I worked previously, including my own brokerage, because the person doing the training for me wasn't giving my agents all they had for the same reason. So another pain point is profitability. Quite frankly, most brokerages aren't profitable unless they have scale, hundreds of agents. Certainly the mom and pops, the 30, 40, 50 agent brokerages are smaller. They're not making money unless the broker owner has a team or is a big producer, him or herself. And that's really what's paying the bills. I would encourage all of our broker owner listeners or viewers to pull your GCI out of your P&L and see if you still have a profitable model. And I would wager you don't. That was with me. And I spend a lot of time bringing brokerages to EXP now. And that's what I see almost in every single case, unless they've got several hundred and they're just making it up on volume, as we say.
Right.
So it's lonely. It's not profitable. Technological advancements. I used to be in the IT business, I told you, for 20 years prior to real estate. And technology gets faster and twice as expensive, half as expensive every 12 months. And so you're constantly changing. Agents want the best next shiny penny. They always want more. They always want a better website, better leads. You know the game. Right. So that's a struggle for a broker owner that doesn't have the profitability to be able to afford to do that. They want systems to do online document management and electronic signature systems and CRMs and lead generating systems. And it's just hard. It's downright hard.
and expensive, right? And all those systems you just mentioned, we get it at EXP for $85 a month. I mean, that brings a question. Did you ever put, a number on how much money you were saving by partnering up with EXP compared to a broker?
I haven't. I built a lot of spreadsheets looking at, okay, well, what's, because at Remax I had a 95-5 split. I mean, what's better than that, right? There's 100% split with a big transaction fee. I guess that would be better by some people's standards. But, I built spreadsheets to say, oh yeah, actually an 80-20 split with a $16,000 cap is better, and it gets better at this sales dollar. So I ran that for all of my team members and myself based on the volume we'd done the prior year. And I saw the profitability point, and it was profitable, inside of about 6 months because of our capping system. But yeah, very expensive. And something else, I got pulled into a couple of different, they weren't lawsuits, but they were ethics hearings, and we were not guilty in either of the ones. But man, the distraction and the expense for legal representation, and it's sad that somebody can come after you and you can be victorious, but you spent tens of thousands of dollars on attorney fees, and you can't even count the distraction cost that is. And you win, but you still lost. You follow what I'm saying there? So as a broker owner, and I wasn't the owner when I moved to EXP, but I was still the broker. So I still had all the legal liability. In fact, I'm interviewing an agent on my podcast next week who got sued because one of his agents slept with one of his agent's clients. And I don't know what the damages were, but it cost several $100,000 to defend himself. And, you know, I don't have to worry about that anymore. And that's probably the biggest stress reliever is, you know, the sleepless nights when you know your agent screwed up and you hope nobody finds out about it and you help them to correct it, or maybe you terminated them because they were that much of a liability to the company. I've had to do that a few times in my past, but no more sleepless nights.
Yeah, that's a big stress reliever for sure. And explain real quick, even though, you know, you're an associate broker at EXP and running your team, how you're not responsible and you can sleep well at night because of the platform if someone were to sue you.
Yeah, well, in essence, as a broker, if I brought my organization to EXP, I pay $85 a month just like my agents do. So if you think about it, for my $85, I don't have to have the secretary at the front door anymore. I don't have to have the compliance person. I don't have to have the bookkeeper that's cutting all the commissions and managing all the earnest money accounts. I don't have any personal liability as the designated or the qualifying broker, or whatever the term is, depending on our viewers' states. Every state's a little bit different. I'm in three. I'm licensed in 3 states, and it's a different term in all 3. But my point is, I don't have that legal liability anymore because EXP hires brokers, and I say brokers plural, in every state because we have multiple brokers depending on the number of agents in each state and the number of transactions that those agents are doing. So they're the employees of EXP, the legal entity, and they're the ones with that liability, not me. So in essence, I'm running my own brokerage like I always did. It's the Hollinder team. You know, I was the Hollinder team at Remax Champions was the name of the brokerage that I sold, and it's still there today. But now I'm the Hollinder team, you know, brokered by EXP Realty. Without any of the liability, without any of the overhead cost, I pay $85 and all those things are done for me. And I stay up to date with all the latest technologically advanced systems, 80 hours of training every week. I could never have given them 80 hours of training in a month,
right?
Let alone in a week. So, and that training is 100%, you know, over the top. You know, nobody's holding back because they're fearing training their competition in their local office. Speaking of the local office, when I came to EXP, I bought an office condo because my team was used to working out of an office, but ended up selling it a couple of years ago because they stopped coming to the office. They realized, you know, we really don't need this. And COVID contributed to that a little bit, obviously. But even pre-COVID, some of my agents weren't coming in at all unless they were dropping off paperwork. And all that at EXP is electronic. So they really weren't dropping off paperwork. We were still using physical files for our own internal files, but you know, all that was online. And finally, I guess it was 1/1/20. I said, you know, this is stupid. Let's just scan everything and put it in SkySlope and get rid of these paper files. And I kept them for 5 years from my old life because I was required to by the real estate commission. And then we had a big bonfire every year when another year passed by. So those are all gone now.
Cool. So tell me, because I know it's a big misconception out there, not having, you know, a physical office for your team to work from. How can you have the collaboration like you do when you had everyone come into the office?
Great question. Well, several things. We do have an office. It's a cloud office, so we can still meet in the cloud. We can still converse just like you and I are right now. So there's that option. We have access to Regus and Spaces. Both are branded companies that are kind of losing the term right now. Places you can go and work temporarily. So we meet there quite regularly. I go into Regus, you know, once or twice a month. Doesn't cost me anything because every EXP agent has a membership to Regus and Spaces. And I think there's 4,000 locations worldwide that you can walk into and use for free at any time. And, you know, you can meet a client there if you want. I haven't done that because, one, I'm not selling a whole lot anymore. And But when I was meeting my client at their house or at the first house I was showing them or whatever the case was, or we'd meet at a Starbucks and so forth. So it's just never been a problem. And that's why I don't have an office today. Is it was unnecessary. It was an expense I didn't need to have, but I thought I needed to have it just because of the change. It kind of paved the road for my team that was used to having an office, but clearly they operate fine without it today.
And how do you find the collaboration between you and your agents? Has it changed? Is it gotten better? Has it gotten worse? What's the difference now?
It's definitely better, just because, we were never all together at the same time at the office anyway. So now our meetings are purposeful. We're all together at the same time. We're in EXP world, our cloud office, or we might be on a Zoom call, or we might, for my sales team standpoint, we will still get together periodically physically, at a restaurant or coffee shop or at a Regis location. And the collaboration is phenomenal. I mentioned, my Freedom Team organization of 3,000 agents, and we're certainly collaborating at a much higher level than the 7 people on the Hollinder team were ever able to do.
Right. Yeah, that's exciting. I found the same thing, that I was able to, because we have a lot in person meetings. The company, you can go to an event just about every month if you wanted to, a live event.
Oh yeah.
But because of the ownership and every agent now having ownership in the company, they show up different. In the past, even if they were on your team, they're still just working for that commission check, and there's really nothing else besides that commission check. And now they're showing up because they have ownership in the company they're helping to grow, and it's a total different attitude that agents have. Do you find that to be true?
Absolutely. That's like what I was saying, the local training, it's limited to local knowledge, first of all. And that's the way it used to be. And that's the agent that wouldn't give the agents in the training class 100% of their knowledge, because they knew they were training their next competitor in their local market. And we don't have any of that at EXP. There's 89,000 people in the company in 24 countries. And somebody might know way more than me in California that I haven't seen yet in Kentucky or Indiana or Alabama. And, I'm learning from the best of the best. In fact, our icon agents are the best of the best. And many of the icon agents are the ones doing that training. Right.
Yeah, that's awesome. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Tim? What's your vision for your business in the next 5 years?
I want to keep pouring into the individual agents in the Freedom Team, helping them sell more houses, utilizing the 21 years of experience I had to do that, and helping them through the market changes that I've been through personally. My passion, though, right now is working with agents, showing them that there is another way to get paid, multiple ways for doing the exact same thing that they're doing in their current brokerage. And I'm spending a lot of time talking to the independent broker owner and to the franchise broker owner. Now, I don't step into that relationship unless they're nearing the end of their franchise agreement, of course, because I don't want to interfere with that. But I love bringing brokerages over to EXP, because something could happen to them like happened to me, and they're not even thinking about that yet. They're thinking about, oh my gosh, what do? I'm losing my butt because my expenses are the same and my revenue is way down right now. 40% is the number I hear talking to most brokers and all across the country and even in other countries. So my passion is really just helping them hold their hand in a transition that gives them financial freedom, time freedom, and location freedom, which is what I feel I have. No bragging whatsoever, but just to make the point, I could walk away from this job today and never do another thing the rest of my life and be financially okay. And I can do that where I want to do it, with who I want to do it, on my time frame. And I don't say that to brag at all, but I love giving that to other broker owners that haven't seen that light. Broker owners, we have huge egos. My name's on the door. I built this baby. I had all those same thoughts, but they don't have to lose that. They can be ABC Realty brokered by EXP, or the ABC team brokered by EXP Realty. You know, state law
right.
make that vary. It's state to state on what you can do from a ad regulatory standpoint. But that's my passion. That's my feel good. That's why I do what I do, because I love showing somebody that, you know, you don't have to show houses till you're 80 years old. You know, broker owner, you can eliminate all the stress, all the expense, except $85 a month. Bring your entire brokerage to EXP. And EXP now has incentives to bring those brokerages over. I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, EXP in 5.5 years has never taken anything away from me that I had 5.5 years ago, but they've added and added and added more and more and more benefits along the way. You know, like health insurance, for one. We didn't have health insurance 5.5 years ago. Now we do. That's just one example. But I know other brokerages. In fact, I saw Anywhere published their quarterly earnings report last week or the week before. And they were stating in that earnings report that they were taking a bigger split of commission. They were telling their investors that. Well, the inverse of that is they were taking split away from their agents. And I'm seeing that, you know, brokers, they have to. They've got to cut splits down or increase expenses to stay alive. I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation in our industry for that reason, because there are scenarios where people can combine organizations and get rid of duplicate expenses and actually create a profitable entity from two unprofitable entities. So I'm just loving going through that because of my detail orientedness. I love those financial analysis and those spreadsheets and just plugging in numbers and helping people figure out if it might make sense or not for them to be a part of EXP Realty.
Yeah, the ones that it is a good fit, I mean, it's a huge blessing. I mean, you're really giving them a huge blessing, just like you have now. So that's a big deal.
Another example, you know, most brokers don't have any sort of incentive if one of their agents recruits another agents to their brokerage. They can't afford to. I did a little bit. I think it was $500 or something out of the first closing or something, but you know, nothing long-term like EXP has. So if you think about it, you have a 20-person brokerage and all 20 of those agents come with the broker to EXP under that partnership. Now they have an incentive, and the broker is going to find that those 20 people, 4 or 5 of them, they're going to go out and recruit maybe 20 more people. So now they're getting paid on 40 instead of 20. And then those 40 may go out and recruit 5 or 10 people. And then this thing just starts exponentially growing. That's what shocked me. I told you my goal was 50,000 in 5 years. I made 50,000 in 15 months. It just blew me away when I started seeing residually 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 a month coming in. I'm like, holy crap. And I'm not even trying. You know, those were agents that respected me that said, hey, tell me about EXP. Why'd you make the move? Okay, we'll sit down. So been life-changing.
What would you say to a broker owner that, you know, they're, like you said, they got a big ego. This is their baby. They're not looking to make any change. They may be hurting, but they would have never tell you that. What do you say to independent broker to have them at least just take a look?
I would say, give me a call, give Andre a call, and just have a confidential conversation. We know you're hurting. I've been there, done that, felt the pain that you're feeling. Just have an open conversation. I don't know. I do know because I know you fairly well indirectly. You know, nobody's going to put a hard sell on anybody. Nobody's going to put any pressure on anybody to do anything. Just going to have a conversation and do the math and see if it makes sense financially or not. I can guarantee it's going to make sense from a legal liability standpoint and elimination of expense standpoint and so forth. You just got to figure out if the ego can make the move. And I assure you, I've not changed one thing. I mean, my sign is even basically the same as it was before, subject to my state ad regs. Right. But I would say just keep an open mind. You don't know what you don't know. So I would spend a little bit of time finding out what you don't know, and then you'll be in a position to make an educated decision.
Yeah, that's great advice. I mean, the most expensive thing anyone can have is a closed mind, and if they'll just have an open mind and take a look, absolutely can be life changing. So yeah, any independent brokers or solo agents, either one, anywhere in the 50 states. We're in 9 provinces of Canada, 24 countries. Tim's phone number is on there. My phone number is on the screen. Give us a call. Happy to have a independent, private conversation to go over the numbers and just do the math and see what what it can do for you.
And we can both connect you with other broker owners that are of similar size that have already made the move. I mean, what we bring over 450 brokerages last year alone, something like that.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of people that have been in your shoes that can tell you what the experience was like and life before and after being the owner of their own shop. And they still own it. You own stock in EXP World Holdings, Inc. So you haven't really lost ownership. You've actually picked up ownership in something that's actually liquid now because you can sell it on the stock exchange. Trade it on the NASDAQ, EXPI. Check it out. All the real estate companies are down today after everything that happened with NAR and that lawsuit yesterday, but it bounces back.
Right.
Pendulum always swings both ways.
Especially with the new programs with Boost and Thrive. Those are a couple of programs that EXP's put together for independent broker owners. Like you said, financially giving them, we're not buying companies, but they are given financial incentives to help make the transition. And if you have a certain size team, they're doing the same and giving stock ownership over and above the regular stock that you and I get. So, if people just have an open mind and do the math, I think 90+%, it's usually a pretty good fit, especially if they're serious about wanting to grow and bring their business to the next level and then come with a contribution type heart, like all of us at the company. It is normally a pretty good fit.
When even if it were a net nil change financially, the fact that you're going to accumulate stock and build residual income additionally to the financial model is where the true game changing really happens, I think. I mean, the financial model, I ran the numbers. I've won the Icon 3 out of the 5 years I've been with EXP. So I've essentially worked for 100% split because EXP gives us $16,000 back, our entire cap back in stock. So the financial model certainly makes sense to the top producing agents. And in most markets, you only need 25, 30 transactions a year to win that. Some markets a little less, but keep an open mind, have a conversation, and just don't close your mind. Like you said, that's the most expensive mistake there is. I'm just thankful that somebody reached out to me and asked me to look at it for them because I wasn't coming until I saw it.
Yeah, once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? My last 2 questions for you. If you could do it all over again, Tim, what would you do differently?
Well, I didn't tell you this part of the story, but in 2010, EXP was 1 year old. They knocked on my door and said, Tim, would you consider applying for the broker position in Kentucky? I said, no, I have no interest. I just shut them down. It was a no. Didn't even want to know what it was about. I wish I'd have listened what that would have been 8 years prior.
Wow.
We weren't even a publicly traded stock in 2010. And when we went public, I think our stock was 16 cents a share on the over-the-counter market. Now we're trading in the teens on the NASDAQ. So I wish I would have had an open mind back in 2010 when I first had the opportunity. And I wish I wouldn't have done 60 days worth of due diligence when I did start looking at it seriously. I wish I'd have come even sooner because, the sooner you're here, the better it is. There's just no 2 ways about it. I have agents on my team that have several $100,000 worth of stock value today. And all they did is they decided to invest 5% of their commission into the stock plan at a 10% discount. That's totally voluntary. They don't have to do this. They chose to do it. And a couple of them have a couple of $100,000. My son sold stock and paid cash for his brand new Tesla a couple of years ago. Story after story like that in and of themselves are life-changing. Just to start accumulating a couple of $100,000 on the side. What realtor wouldn't want to do that?
Did you ever do the math on that of what if you would have looked at this 8 years ago? Probably don't want to, right?
No. I don't focus on things I can't any longer control. It's just going to make me mad.
That's right. Well, I really appreciate your time today, Tim, and being
pleasure.
part of our Financial Freedom Forever podcast. Definitely, reach out to any of us, scan a QR code if you want to get connected. My last question before we close out, Tim, is if you're a book reader, do you have a favorite book you'd like to recommend to the audience, or a movie watcher, your favorite movie you'd like to recommend?
Oh, gosh. I made a note of one you recommended just a few days ago. Who Not Now? I've got that on my list, but I haven't read it yet. I just finished Passive Prospecting by Levi Lassick. He's done a phenomenal job building a YouTube channel, right, where all of his leads are coming in off his channel for free, not spending a nickel on lead gen. I think he did $1.2 million in GCI in his first 15 months, something like that. So yeah, that's I'm going to read that. I listened to it on Audible, and I also bought the paper copy because I want to mark it up now and highlight it. And I'm revamping my YouTube channels and all that too. So that's one that can change an agent's life right now is to start doing video and start putting videos out. 2-3 weeks is all it takes to start getting subscribers and be real. Show your personality, show your flaws, be genuine, and people are going to connect with that. So that's my tip of the day. It's not what you asked, but Passive Prospecting is the name of the book.
All right, fantastic. Well, I appreciate you again, Tim. We'll see you at the next live event. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the Financial Freedom Forever podcast, and we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, thank you, Andre. I really appreciate you having me on today.
All right, Tim. God bless.
God bless you. Continued success, my friend.
Thank you. You too. Okay. Bye-bye. Listen to what our business partners are saying about our FFF group.
What I like best about the Financial Freedom Forever group is that we have a diverse network of high-level producers that mastermind and share best practices to help improve each other's businesses. And the network has become such a close-knit group with such a tight culture that you just won't find anywhere else.
The Financial Freedom Forever group's been absolutely amazing. The training, the coaching, spent tens of thousands of dollars on coaching in the past, and I've gotten more out of the last year and a half than I've gotten out of all of them.
I believe you surround yourself with like-minded people that are doing 10, 15, 20 times more than me and you put together. We all bring each other up and bring our businesses to the next level and our lives. To learn more about how to partner with us, go to partnerwithandre.com or click the link below. And let's have a conversation.